Today's celebrity guest reader is varsity head football coach of the Brandon High School Blackhawk football team, Mr. Pizzala, joined by 3 student athletes.
It's a race. It's called Life's Greatest Lesson. Actually, someone gave this to me as a gift, so I'll read it to you. All right. Quit, give up, you're beaten, they shout at me and plead. There's just too much against you now. This is time you can't succeed. And as I start to hang my head in front of failure's face, my downward fall is broken by the memory of a race. It's about a race a kid ran. And hope refills my weakened will as I recall that scene, for just the thought of that short race rejuvenates my being. And children's race, young boys, young men, how I remember well, excitement sure, but also fear, it wasn't hard to tell. And so now comes a story about a race. It's a guy kind of remembering back to the race when he was little. They all lined up so full of hope, each thought to win that race, or tie for first, or if not that, at least take second place. And fathers watched from off the side, each cheering for his son, and each boy hoped to show his dad that he would be the one. The whistle blew and off they went, young hearts and hopes afire. To win and be the hero, there was each boy's young desire. And one boy was running near the lead and thought, my dad will be so proud. But as they sped down the field across a shallow dip, the little boy who thought to win lost his step and slipped. There's not very many pictures here, it's just someone falling. Trying hard to catch himself, his hand flew up to brace, but mid the laughter of the crowd, he fell flat on his face. So down he fell, and with him hope, he couldn't win it now. Embarrassed, sad, he only wished to disappear somehow. That was where he was before, right? But as he fell, his dad stood up and showed his anxious face, which to the boy so clearly said, get up and win the race. He quickly rose, no damage done, behind the bit, that's all, and ran with all his mind and might to make up for his fall. So anxious to restore himself, to catch up and to win, his mind went faster than his legs. He slipped and fell again. He wished then he had quit before, with only one disgrace. I'm hopeless as a runner now, I shouldn't try to race. So he jumped to try again, 10 yards behind the last. If I'm to gain those yards, he thought, I've got to move real fast. Everything he had, he regained 8 or 10, but trying so hard to catch the lead, he slipped and fell again. Defeat! He lay there silently, a tear dropped from his eye. There's no sense running anymore. 3 strikes, I'm out. Why try? The will to rise had disappeared. All hope had fled away. So far behind, so error prone, a loser all the way. I've lost, so what's the use, he thought. I'll live with my disgrace. But then he thought about his dad, who soon he'd have to face. Get up, an echo sounded low. Get up and take your place. You were not meant for failure here. Get up and win the race. With borrowed will, get up, it said. You haven't lost it all. For winning is no more than this, to rise each time you fall. So up he rose to run once more, and with a new commit, he resolved that win or lose, at least he wouldn't quit. So far behind the others now, the most he'd ever been, still he gave it all he had, and ran as though to win. 3 times he'd fallen, stumbling, 3 times he rose again. Too far behind to hope to win, he still ran to the end. They cheered the winning runner as he crossed the line first place, head high and proud and happy, no falling, no disgrace. But when the fallen youngster crossed the line last place, the crowd gave him greater cheer for finishing the race. And even though he came in last, with head bowed low, unproud, he would have thought he'd won the race to listen to the crowd. And to his dad he sadly said, I didn't do too well. To me you won, his father said, you rose each time you fell. And now when things seem dark and hard and difficult to face, the memory of that little boy helps me in my race. For all of life is like that race, with ups and downs and all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. So just a simple story about, what was the point of the story? Anybody know? Go ahead.
The kid, he kept falling in the race, and he just kept getting up, running.
Perfect.
Running, getting up.
Yep, good. Is it Emily? What were you going to say?
That it was the point that you should never give up.
Yep, absolutely. I'm sure you guys have fallen, right? At some point in time, just never get up, keep going. All right, so the next book is definitely about football. So maybe you guys have heard a little about football, but we all have, so we thought we'd start with that. Go ahead, man.
Alright, this is wild card.
I'll let you want to slide to the. You got that one? All right, go ahead.
Alright, how much do you think, like, when you're reading, like, sections off, you know?
Read till you're ready to hand it off.
Okay.
And you're good to go.
Alright.
And you guys, there aren't a lot of pictures, so you're going to have to use your imagination a little
Yeah.
bit. All right.
Chapter 1, Saving the Day. They're going long, Rondé. Rondé Barber heard the warning shouted by his twin brother, Tiki, from the sidelines. Like he didn't know. He was already backpedaling as Harrison Hodgeberg, star receiver for the Jefferson Junior High Panthers, ran straight at him. Hodgeberg's red number 99, outlined in bright yellow, stood out from the black of his Jefferson Panthers jersey. 99, as in miles per hour. Rondé knew he had to keep pace because this kid was fast, really fast. Was he going to deke first, or would he just put it into high gear as he got by Rondé? To stay with his man, Rondé would have to guess, and guess right. Just like that, Rochberg's eyes flicked back toward the line of scrimmage for an instant. Most cornerbacks would have taken it as a signal that the ball was about to be thrown, but Rondé was too smart for that. He knew it was 3rd and long with only 10 minutes left in the game. He knew that the Panthers, with only a 2-point lead, would be looking for a big gainer. He didn't jump at the bit, and when the receiver kicked into high gear, Rondé stayed with him step for step. He didn't look back for the ball, not yet. He remembered Coach Wheeler saying during one of their team video sessions, "You can't keep up with someone fast if you're looking behind you." Rondé kept his eyes squarely on number 99. He waited till Hodgeberg turned his head to find the ball. When the receiver's eyes grew as wide as saucers, Rondé finally turned, knowing the ball was about to arrive. His hands and the receiver's hands reached out together. There was the ball. Rondé reached even higher. Suddenly, his feet were caught up with the feet of the other receiver. They both went down in a heap, tumbling over each other. "Interference," number 99 yelled, getting back up and pointing at Rondé as he hopped up and down in frustration. "No way," Rondé said. "I was going for the ball." But the bright yellow flag was already sailing through the air. The whistle was blowing, and the ref was pointing straight at Rondé. "It was incidental contact," Coach Wheeler yelled from the Eagles sideline. "No foul." Of course, it didn't matter what Coach Wheeler or Rondé or any of the Eagles said. The ref was the law, and he was motioning to the kids with the chains to come 15 yards downfield. "First down, Panthers," the ref said. He blew his whistle again and pointed to the Eagles' end zone. Rondé sniffed back the hair and bit his lips hard. It was so unfair. He'd known what was coming. He'd played it perfectly, and how did he get rewarded? With a flag. Come on," shouted Mr. Palugi, the defensive coach. "Get back in the game, Barber." Rondé jogged back to the huddle, but his heart was still out on the field, where it had been stomped on by the ref. "Bad call, yo," said Bill Reeves, the Eagles' other corner, patting Rondé on the back. "Never mind, let's just stiff him now." Rondé nodded, shaking off his emotions. It didn't matter how bad he felt. He had a job to do, and he meant to do it no matter what. He watched his man line up and thought, "I'm going to bump him right out of this play." But the Panthers receiver never came past the line of scrimmage. Instead, he waited until the quarterback faked a handoff and rolled out. Hodgeberg got into blocking stance and came straight at Rondé. Now the stables were turned. Rondé tried to avoid the hit by his man and reached the quarterback. That's not bad.
Hey, slide it. Slide down. That's
Right there.
But just as he was about to make the tackle, he was slammed to the ground with a hard hit from his right. He was still lying there when the roar went up from the Panthers and their fans. Touchdown. Rondé just lay there for a minute, panting. He was in pain, but his pride was hurt worse than his body. Now the Eagles were behind by 9 points, 30-21, with less than 10 minutes left to play, in a game they had to win. The truth was there was all must-win games from here on out. The Eagles had already lost twice in this season in the first 2 games. One more defeat and it would take a stroke of incredible luck to get them into the playoffs. If they wound up missing out on the postseason, it would be the first time in 7 years that a Hidden Valley junior high team didn't make the playoffs. The shame of it would be hard to bear. Rondé thought, dragging himself over to the sideline and practically falling onto the Eagles bench. "Get back out there, Barber," Coach Wheeler barked at him. "Kickoff's coming, or are you too out of breath to return it?" No, I'm okay," Rondé assured him, forcing himself to get back up off the bench and into the game. "'Cause I can get someone else to run back the kickoff." I'm going, he swallowed hard. "Coach, I didn't know." "I know you didn't foul him, Rondé," Coach Wheeler said, but that's how it goes sometimes. You don't always get breaks." Rondé sighed and nodded. He knew it was true. "But hey, on this team, we pick each other up," Wheeler said. "Keep the faith, son. Let's get us a win here." Tiki came up to him and put a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, no worries, Rondé. We're going to pull this one out. You'll see." Rondé looked back at his twin. It was the same face he saw in the mirror every day. They were so identical it was hard to, even for their close friends, to tell them apart. But there was a difference right now. There was hope in Tiki's eyes. Rondé had never felt more defeated in his life. "Come on, man. Give me a handshake." Tiki held out his hand, waiting for a secret ritual shake they had made up over the course of this season. Rondé just sighed. Come on, Tiki demanded. "No time for losing." Rondé nodded. Tiki was right. There was still nearly 10 minutes left. Plenty of time to make up for that penalty. Plenty. "Go get him," Tiki told him as they gripped fingers, tapped knuckles, then snapped their fingers twice before slapping 5 low, then high. Rondé ran back out onto the field, buckling the chin strap of his helmet. He waited for kickoff, ready to do something to turn the game around. "Tiki's right," he told himself. "We can still win this thing, and we will." Up went the kick, low and end over end. It hit the ground and then bounced off to the left, far away from Rondé. He ran after it in a panic and got hold of it just in time to get piled on by the entire Panthers kicking squad. "Great, just great," Rondé muttered to himself as he trotted slowly back to the bench. The ball was spotted at their own 15, a long way from the end zone. Now the Eagles lined up on offense, and Rondé tried to catch his breath on the bench. All day, the favored 5-2 Eagles had been trading scores with the 3 and 4 Panthers. The Eagles, after those first 2 losses, had been on a roll, winning 5 games in a row, 3 of them over highly rated opponents. 2 weeks ago, they'd gone over to Martinsville and beat the always dangerous Colts for the second time in 3 weeks, 34-17. The last week, it stomped on the mighty Blue Ridge Bears, 30-10. On top of that, Rondé reminded himself the Eagles were the defending district champs. Jefferson hadn't made the playoffs in 3 years. The Eagles had every reason to be confident about today's contest.
But as Coach Wheeler liked to say, that's why we play the games. Statistics meant nothing. The past was the past. Only today mattered. Only now. Only this game. The Eagles quarterback, Cody Hansen, took the snap and quickly handed it off to Tiki. He sliced through the Panthers' defensive line, made a quick cut, and took the ball all the way out to the 40-yard line before he was dragged down from behind. Rondé let out a whoop and stood up, clapping and pumping his fist. "Yeah," he shouted. "That's how we do it." He could feel the momentum shifting like a tidal wave. On the Eagles' next play, Tiki took another handoff for another 15 yards, crossing into the Panthers' territory. Tiki looked unstoppable. Rondé and the rest of the defensive cheered and jumped up and down excitedly. But all the while, they kept nervously glancing over at the game clock as it ticked down the minutes. The next play was the pass to Fred Soule for a gain of 7. "Give it to Tiki again," Rondé shouted, and he wasn't the only one yelling for number 2 to get the ball.